Hello, thank you for tuning in to this podcast. I want to assure you you made the right choice and you made the right decision by tuning in to this podcast. You already know from the topic, I'll be talking about a very delicate and a very, very important topic today. It's very, very delicate, so I need you to pay attention. Today I'm going to be talking or speaking on the word or the subject known as consciousness. What's consciousness? What is consciousness? What does it mean to be conscious? These are the things we are going to be looking at today, and I'm going to open your mind. I'm literally going to open your mind for you to see a reality much more far greater reality beyond your mind's imagination. So let's get straight and let's get right to it. What's consciousness? When the word consciousness pops up in your head, the first word I want you to realize, or the first thing I want you to think about, is awareness. Consciousness, pure awareness. That's what I mean by consciousness. When I say the word conscious, pure awareness. Let's take, for example, you are looking at an object, be it maybe a car, maybe a biro. I want you to answer this question. When you look at an object, what do you see? Or how do you feel when you look at something, when you look at an object? Are you looking at the object, or you are aware that you are looking at something? It's very vital. When I speak on consciousness, it's more of a realization. Now, I'm going to be giving two examples or two definitions of consciousness from the modern time or modern day dictionary. Firstly, from Cambridge. Cambridge, they define consciousness as the state of understanding and realizing something. The state of understanding and realizing something. That's what Cambridge is giving us. But let's look at Oxford. The state of being aware of and responsive to one's surrounding. So you see, it's basically the same thing we are saying. Awareness, pure awareness. I want you to get the word awareness. I gave you an example. When you look at an object or when you are looking at something, what do you see? How do you feel? You need to pay attention to these things. Self-awareness. You have to be aware of self. You have to be aware that there is someone or there is an entity looking or observing an object. When you begin to dive into consciousness, when you begin to look at this, you begin to understand that there is an object and there is a subject. For something to be perceived or for something to be realized, there has to be someone witnessing. So that's just the whole concept of consciousness. But I'll be diving or speaking on this today for the layman to understand. I'll be trying to put it in a way that even the most layman of all could understand what I'm trying to say. So I really need you to pay attention and to listen to everything I'm going to be giving. So when I talk about consciousness, I'm talking about awareness, self-awareness. Self-awareness. And what's self-awareness? Is wakefulness of one's sense of selfhood or soul explored by looking within. Self-awareness is wakefulness of one's sense of selfhood or soul, explored by looking within. I need you to get the word within. Within. You look within to find answers. You don't look outside of you. You don't look to the environment. You don't look to the external world to find answers. I need you to understand, when you start looking at the term consciousness, you need to look within. And when I mean within, what do I mean? When I say within, how do you feel? What do you think of? What's your body telling you when you observe? That's just the whole concept of consciousness and self-awareness. You being aware that you are a person, or you are yourself. It's very, very important and very, very vital that you get this message I'm trying to pass across, because I understand that life on its own is challenging. I don't know where you might be listening to this podcast. You might be on your way to work, you might be driving, you might be at work, you might be trying to get something, employment, you might be trying to enroll for schools. I know life on its own is, life is challenging and it's tough, but I want you to realize and understand that there are some things and there are some subjects that you need to get familiar with if you really want to be successful. And when I mean successful, you really want to be rich, you really want to be wealthy, you really want to be in control. Because I used to break it to you, man, like, not everyone is in control of their life. Not everyone is in control of their reality. You need to take your control back. You need to take your power back. And how do you do this? By being conscious. And that's why I'll be speaking on consciousness today. I'm trying to enlighten you and enlighten your minds on consciousness. You need to understand that you create your reality. You need to understand that your thoughts create your reality. You need to be conscious of self. You need to be self-aware. So basically, I want you to try to understand this concept of painting. So I'm going to give you 3 ways for you to know or observe what consciousness is. So the first one I'll be talking about is simple consciousness. When I mean simple consciousness, what do I mean? Simple consciousness, that's the simplest form of you being conscious. That's you being aware of the body. That's what I call the animal nature. For example, you look at your legs, you look at your arms, or you look at your eyes, or you go to the mirror, you look at yourself. What do you observe? You see your skin, the way your face is. That's the simplest term of consciousness, simple consciousness. You being aware of your body. Secondly, I'm talking about self-consciousness. This is awareness of being aware that you are aware. Awareness of being aware. Like I gave you an example before. When you look at an object, I told you, what do you see? What do you observe? Are you looking at an object, or you are aware that you are looking at something? This is self-awareness or self-consciousness. You being aware that you are aware. That's just what I can give you about self-consciousness. Then lastly, the third type of consciousness, or the third type of way I want you to look at consciousness, is cosmic consciousness. And when I talk about cosmic consciousness, what do I mean? I'm talking about the collective consciousness. That consciousness, that life force that is within every living thing, from all the kingdoms, from animal kingdom to the plant kingdoms, there is this vital force. Some like to call it the God force, but this is what I refer to as cosmic consciousness. It's collective, and trust me, every one of us as individuals can access this consciousness. But unfortunately, it's just a few people who have been able to access this consciousness. And these people who have accessed this cosmic consciousness are the people who I like to call enlightened. The minds that have gone through enlightenment. Those are the only minds that can realize this consciousness. Realize is more like self-realization. And don't worry, you don't have to stress. So that's why I'm here, is to get you to understand this concept. Don't worry if you don't have to stress, or you don't have to worry that you don't get this concept. But that's why I'm here. That's the purpose of this podcast, to give you the knowledge of self, knowledge of consciousness. So this is just like the basic way, or the basic definition or the way I can try to paint consciousness for you to understand. Consciousness is what controls and governs us, is who we are, is what we are at our core most being. That's what I refer to as consciousness. I need you to understand, we are not the skin, we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions. I need you to understand. Following this series, I'm going to be giving a series of podcasts and giving you step by step and detailed ways in which you can access or self-realize consciousness, so you can improve your life, so you can improve every area of your life. Trust me, it's possible. It's very, very possible for you to improve every area of your life. Think of it. Is it your financial life, your mental life, your physical life? In every way, it's very, very possible. All the things you've dreamed of, your mind's imagination, you can manifest it and bring it to reality. It's very, very possible. That's why I want to thank you once again for listening and tuning into this podcast, because you made the right choice. You made the right choice to move your life to the next level. You made the right choice to move and step forward. And that's why it's key when it comes to changing your mindset, or when it comes to looking at the world the way you do. It's key to always start with consciousness. Over the series of this podcast, I'm going to be giving you different ways or different methods by which you can access or realize consciousness. And trust me, it's the most beautiful thing ever. Really, really ever. Most of us are not even in control of our time. We're not in control of our emotions. We don't even know. Once you start paying attention to the word consciousness, you begin to realize that most of the things that people don't think matters are what matters the most. Things like your thoughts, things like your emotions, those things that you feel they don't really matter, or those are the things that really matter the most, and those are the key things you need to manifest your dream reality. It's very, 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 very possible. Some of us can't even imagine our best lives. Why? Because we don't think it's possible. I want you to change your mindset, and I want you to keep your mind on a positive, higher vibration, because this is the key to creating or manifesting your dream reality. Once again, I'm happy to tell you, you made the right choice. You made the right decision by tuning into this podcast to understand the term consciousness, because we are consciousness. As a collective, we are consciousness. But why is it that the scientists, the philosophers, the scholars, they can't give us a valid definition of what consciousness is? They don't understand it. They really don't understand it. And it's simple. Let me give you the reason. It's very simple. Like, this question I'm about to ask you now, or this question I'm about to ask, it's a $1 million question. And when I mean $1 million question, yes, it is a $1 million question. And the question goes, why can't the world's greatest minds solve the mystery of consciousness? I say it again. Why can't the world's greatest minds solve the mystery of consciousness? It's simple. because it is way beyond the mind. It's way beyond the mind. That's why the mind can't solve it. Think of the mind like a device or an object that is trying to process something way beyond its imagination. The mind can, the way the mind works, the mind always try to get or make concepts or ideologies in a way it understands. But now this is something that is way beyond its imagination. So tell me, how will it function? So that's why it's really important, and you really made the right choice by tuning in to this podcast on consciousness. You really made the right choice, and I want you to stay with me and stick with me through a couple podcasts. I like to call it a series of podcasts I'll be dropping, and in my next episode I'll be enlightening you and giving you the instructions, detailed goals, step-by-step guide on how to access or how to observe consciousness and change your life for the better. Remember, the goal is to evolve. The goal is to evolve. Is to evolve your mindset, is to evolve your thought process, is to evolve your emotions. That is the whole goal, to evolve. Never forget that. So once again, thank you for tuning into this podcast. I go by the name Tony Whiskey, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. God bless.